waiting for us.
Oh, I love these. I love these.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is lovely. Catherine, how are you?
Oh, very well, very well. It's still
Oh,
cold here in Sydney, but
what time
we've
of the
had
day is it now?
it is I look at my computer. It's 6:42 a.m. We're
6:42.
12 hours in front of you.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
that's very, very early in the morning.
Yes,
I
yes.
must
Yeah.
apologize for always getting you up so early in the morning. This
Oh,
is
I'm
time of
up.
the day. I'm 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm usually having my last bits of, that last hour of sleep. You know?
No, no, not at this end. I'm always awake. I'm awake very, very early. I drop after 5, 6 o'clock at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
My late husband used to say to me, he said, "Oh God, you go to bed with the chooks, because they go to bed really early because they're up early."
Yeah.
So yeah, but winter is, you can see the days are starting to get a little bit longer. What's the weather
Mm.
like in the UK at the moment?
Okay, so the weather hasn't been very bad actually. We're meant to have our summer now, isn't it? But it's still
Yeah,
rainy.
yeah.
So today I think it's been mostly cloudy with spells of rain here and there. So we are yet to experience real summer. I
Okay.
don't think we will have it because UK weather is bipolar, as many people like to call it.
Yes.
But
Yeah. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard that before. I'll
yeah,
use it. Yeah.
so we just make the most of it whenever
Yeah. Well,
the
the
sun
royals are
spells
still
pop
out and
up.
about. The
Mm-hmm.
royals, it doesn't seem to hold back the royals. They get out with their
Oh
big
yes,
umbrellas.
they are up
Yeah.
and about. So
Yeah.
that brings us to this edition of Royal News Live. So we
Yeah.
we like to come here, myself and you, to catch up on what has been trending and whether we agree with certain stories or not. Just to make sure we are up to date with what is going on in our British Royals world.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I've been paying attention to the Pat Tillman Awards, much like most of us,
Mm.
and I will say there hasn't been a lot of coverage of it. I mean, it's been mentioned on Sky News, but there hasn't been a lot of attention given to it in Australia. And
Mm.
for your viewers coming in, I'm Catherine. I reside in Sydney, but I'm a dual citizen. I'm a British I have two passports, British and Australian, and my channels are Royal Iota. But
Yes.
I haven't seen a lot of attention given to it, which is unusual.
Mm.
But Meghan's on the front page of the Women's Weekly magazine in Australia. They must have bought that. I find
Mm.
it very odd that that used to be a highly respected magazine when Ita Buttrose was the editor. She became famous through that.
Mm.
But yeah, there's not a lot of attention in Australia given to the ESPYs, but it doesn't mean royal watchers don't know about it.
Exactly. Well,
Mm.
every piece of newspaper or social media, magazines that these two are always going to appear will always have an element of whether they have bought that space or a deal behind it, because
Mm.
I they don't seem to be featured in many of those popular magazines or newspapers out there because of the fear of those magazines losing credibility. You know.
Mm. Mm.
But it is very interesting that you said it. The Pat Tillman Awards haven't really been publicized that much in Australia because they haven't done that here in the United Kingdom too. Sky News,
Ah.
BBC, all these major news channels. You would imagine an event like that would be flooded all over our screens, but we haven't seen that at all, apart from reading bits and bobs
Mm.
in
Mm.
the newspapers online. Okay, so it
So
is
what have
very.
what have you got there? What headlines have you got there then,
So,
Francis?
we have, of course, very, very negative headlines. So we have the
Mm,
Daily Express that said,
okay.
where is that? That said, disgraceful as, Prince Harry turns up to pick up the Tillmans Award. Let's see what else. We have the Independent, which says, despite the 75k thousand people who signed that petition to stop Harry from turning up to pick up the Tillman Awards, Prince Harry still turned up. So, and others say it was really shameful that he did, despite um, Mary, Pat Tillman's mother,
Mm.
criticizing the awards themselves and calling them divisive. Okay, so you can see that the mood hasn't been very positive about this particular award. And I think for Prince Harry, he must have read through the newspapers and seen these headlines. And of course, we have been talking about these conversations before the awards themselves. And he knows how people were very opposed to the idea of him, being awarded this prestigious award. So, and I think that very much feeds into how he appeared on stage. Because I know he gave that speech, but you could see deep down that
Yeah.
the nerves were there, and he wasn't 100% confident on
Mm.
that podium, knowing that so many people were not well aligned with the idea of him being given that award. What are your thoughts? What do you think?
Um,
Hmm.
I actually put just a few highlights of his speech on. I uploaded pretty quickly, but it was just highlights and it finished on the note of, but we'll leave it there because we don't want to leave anyone behind. And
Hmm.
it was pretty standard um, Meghanese, you could hear Meghan's voice in uh, in the speech. I've got mixed feelings about it, to be honest. I at first I thought, oh gosh, he's handling this better than he's obviously listening to some PR advice.
Hmm.
But then he can't help himself. He has such a chip on his shoulder, and then he went on, and it reminded me of his UN speech. Oh, but the world, the world is when the world is in such a mess, and and people that are different, are frowned upon. Oh, it's just like I thought, oh, Harry, why do you have to do that? Why can't you stay positive? Why can't you? Because it was a very curated event.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
it was.
highly curated. When you looked around at the audience, not everyone was with him. There were a few boos when
Mm,
he got up. There were a few
mm.
boos. You could hear him up in the nosebleed section, as you would call it, I imagine. Pat Tillman's mother wasn't present,
No, no, he,
and
of
yeah,
course, she was
yeah.
very, very detesting of, that award itself. So I would be surprised if she turned up for the event itself, you know.
Well, his wife was there, but she didn't look impressed.
Mm.
And despite Serena Williams, she's a terrible MC.
Oh, she is.
Um,
And I said
she's
this earlier
awful.
I said this in a video post I put up earlier. You might not have seen that yet.
No, I
Um,
saw it.
You
Mm,
saw it, yes, yeah.
mm,
I didn't think she did a great job in that monologue because she appeared to talk more about herself and the actors and the jokes she was making did not in any way, shape, or form glorify the ex-servicemen whose ceremony or occasion was meant to be. So I thought she wasn't a great MC for the day. And later on, of
Mm.
course, we see Prince Harry stepping onto that podium and being um, introduced as the Duke of of Sussex, and we all know that he said he was not very much interested in those titles, and it's always going to be him, Prince Harry, not the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
they seem to enjoy those introductions, and clearly you can see that they are still riding on elements of those royal titles, because he should really be briefing these MCs ahead of time, that when I'm standing up, introduce me as Harry and not the other, and that way then they would be more informed of how to introduce him onto that podium. But clearly he didn't do a great job of informing these MCs. It's so telling that he still enjoys, and of course Meghan Markle, they still enjoy being introduced as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Did you see that there was a banner uh,
Mm-hmm.
promoting the event,
Mm.
um, and it had HRH on there?
Yeah,
Did you see that?
yes, I saw that. Royal High and His Royal Highness. So you could see that that these events, the activities that they are still involving themselves in, are always going to be riding around, using those royal titles and proponents of the royal family. How nice it would have been for them to actually start recognizing the importance of the royal family, make up with their family, start showing support,
Mm,
because
mm.
this is an institution they are still very much, benefiting from. Okay, so it was a very, very interesting event, and 75,000 people signed that petition. How on
You,
earth
yeah,
didn't
you can't ignore
ESPN
it.
listen? Mm.
You've got a
Yes,
your loyal
yeah,
followers.
our loyal fans here, Sandy South. Much love from Ripley, Mississippi, United States. Hi, Sandy. Great to see you. Raquel Mendoza. Hi, is it from El Paso, Texas? Yes.
Yep.
Hi, Ida. Wherever you are,
Hi.
my dear sister Ida, great to see you. Lovely. Thank you so much. Who else have we got there? If those
That's who I
messages.
can see.
Mhm.
They're
So
the three I can see.
those are three you can see. Yes, brilliant. Thank you guys for joining us today in this live stream. We are catching up with the royal news that is being trending on our, TVs, social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. And we are kind of throwing in our thoughts of what we think about these stories. And here with me is the lovely Catherine Arroyo Ayota, all the way from Australia. Thank you so much for always giving us your time. Subscribe to Catherine's channel, guys. If you're not yet subscribed, I will drop the channel name in the comments section below.
A
So,
royal
Catherine,
a royal iota.
yes, yes. I'm so
Thank you.
impressed with its growth recently, Catherine. So clearly, people are
Yeah.
starting to get these messages across. Hmm.
I think it.
Your
I
channel.
think. Well, as you know, on YouTube, your audience is not always your subscribers, and
Hmm.
but I think there's been a drift over from your channel because it has been growing consistently. So I appreciate it, and I thank you for it, and I thank
Yeah.
your followers for popping
We
over. Some
were.
of them comment. It's really
Yes,
beautiful.
it is
Yeah.
nice. Our target is to try and get it to at least 1,000 subscribers before the end of the
Mm,
year. We can do it,
yeah.
my lovely subscribers. Raquel Mendoza, thank you so much. That award deserves to all of us that are promoting those good interests of our British
Mm.
royals. But Catherine, what are your thoughts on ESPN not listening in? to
Mm.
appeal. 75,000 people signing that petition. Pat Tillman's
Yeah.
mother, Mary, saying she does not agree with the awarding of that prestigious award. And they still feature Prince Harry. Do you think behind the scenes there was a reason for why they went on to give Prince Harry that award?
Uh, I have noticed on Twitter some people believe it's because he's on some special status visa, and some people believe that's the reason why. I'm not sure about that. I
Mm,
think they've just got nothing else. I
mm,
believe that that's why I've got mixed feelings because I think Harry's actually quite vulnerable after this because of the petition, because
mm,
someone put it was a really striking illustration. They put a full stadium, a picture of a full stadium up on X, and they
mm,
said this is the equivalent of 75,000 people.
mm.
And you just, I think for the first time, I really believe for the first time, he had no choice but to pay attention to that loud opposition, that loud voice of opposition. And then the Spectator and the Guardian weren't very generous this week. They called it as it was. The Guardian came out with a headline and said, Harry is the divisive Duke and Meghan is making jam. Can the Sussexes escape their flop era? Now, The Guardian is the Bible of the left, and
Mm,
they traditionally support Harry and Meghan because, they're anti-monarchy. You're
mm,
going to get that kind of peplum from the Guardian, but the
mm,
Spectator, now they're a centre-right
mm,
publication. They came out with a headline. Where is it? I've got a. But they said the same. They said here it is. They said much the same. Has America had enough of Prince Harry?
yes, yes,
So,
yeah, that
that
is,
now that's the Spectator.
yeah, yeah, I've seen that Spectator. Yeah, it's
Mm.
quite a very popular one there.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yeah,
so from both sides of the spectrum, you're there saying, "Hey, these guys are not that." They went on in the Guardian to say they were in their flop era.
mm, mm,
This is a
mm.
left wing publication
It is.
telling them you're in your flop era.
Mm,
And then the Spectator is asking the question, have America had enough? Now, if you looked at the people who were sitting beside them at one or two seats down, it
mm,
was Serena Williams' mother and her sister, and they were staring at them daggers.
mm,
They
mm.
were not impressed.
They were
And
not.
no, so I just find it strange that he accepted it. I'm
Yeah,
really taken aback. I think it
and
would have done him well to say, to even hand it to the gentleman, and here it is. Let it sit with you until till it's handed over to the next one. If even if he'd handed it to that team of three people, it
mm,
would have it would have turned things around for
things
him.
around. Yeah, absolutely. And I
But he
was reading
didn't.
somewhere. I was reading somewhere. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I was reading somewhere, and a certain source revealed that 3 or 4, 5 months ago, they gave Pat Tillman's um, agency or that charity 25,000 US dollars. So
Mm, mm,
that was money given to the charity out of the blue. So it's more like Pat Tillman is returning that favor in terms of the award itself because they know, Meghan, Prince Harry, these are royals. So if we give this award, it's also going to give us publicity. Okay, which is no problem at all. So if they play activities like those, if they do business like that, okay, so they are benefiting from each other. But it is. about sending a message out there to people who have really made a difference in the servicemen's lives. You know, we know this foundation, okay, Invictus Games is there, it's been operating, but it wasn't solely an idea
Mm,
of,
mm.
Prince Harry. This idea was started by William, Prince of Wales, Catherine, and they sort of put it up together and passed this concept on to Prince Harry. So you would see that it was somebody else's idea. So if they had at least made an award of some sort like that, it should be given to Invictus Games as an establishment and not Prince Harry as an individual, you know, because it is the charity doing that work, and the charity is being funded by so many other people and not just Prince Harry. So I think this is where people are not convinced with whether that was worthy of being passed on
Yeah.
to Duke of Sussex.
Well,
And
I was embarrassed for him, to be honest. I was
mm,
embarrassed because he seemed to be hanging on to it for dear life.
yes,
And they went to walk off the stage, and he said, "No, no, come back. You need to be here with me."
yeah,
He would have been better to have said, "This is a team effort. We need the team here."
mm,
But honestly, I was wishing and willing, and I don't like the guy very much at all, but I've got a lot of empathy for him as a human being. I can't, give in to those lower impulses, to be honest.
mm,
But I was hoping and I was willing him to have a last minute change of heart and
mm,
hand it to the team that were there with him, and to the gentleman, and say, "Here, it's in your care until it's handed over." And
mm.
oh, could you imagine the headlines today if he had done that?
Oh, I tell you what, if the headlines haven't even been friendly before the award, later on during the awarding ceremony, headlines were still popping out. Disgraceful. How dare they? Do they give this award to him? He's not worthy of that. This is a scam. So if you read the comments posted on one of the popular videos
Mm,
online, of Prince Harry delivering that speech, you can see that people were raring with a lot of unhappiness,
mm,
and
mm,
you don't, and you can't blame them because these things have now become like a habit. It's the trend we are seeing with all these awards and accolades being passed on to Prince Harry without really having no meaning at all. The other day we saw him again being given, what award was that? Was it the the Hall of Fame? He was
this
inducted in the Hall of Fame, Aviation Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right, the aviation, but he's up there
okay,
with some astronaut.
okay. When we
I've got
had
a list of their
people
latest
where,
reports. Some guy, Buzz Aldrin. He's up
okay,
there, the Living Legends of Aviation Award. That was in
absolutely.
January.
In
It's
January, yes. So
embarrassing.
that really divided people's opinions as well. So it seems like this has become the trend for Prince Harry, Meghan buying into these awards, and it's more like they are buying relevance because we know they since lost relevance since they gave up being working royals, and there is that need for them to stay out there to hit the headlines and all of that sort of thing. And he, of course, knew, and this whole organization, I think, of the Party Humans Award, knew
Mm,
probably that
mm.
Prince William would also be stepping out to go to his occasion for the anniversary of
Yeah.
the homelessness charity. And so they put the awards on the same day or same week somehow to try and overshadow, Prince William's work across the pond here. So you can see that there is a lot of competition on the other side with them fighting to overshadow activities going on here with the real working royals. It's very interesting.
Well, can you imagine? Just here's a hypothesis. Wasn't she the patron, the representing the royal family of the Queen's the theatre? What was it called? And she was the Queen gave her that. Could you imagine if they had taken all those patronages with them across the pond?
Mm.
They would have trashed them because
Oh,
I believe like about 2,000 veterans have left Invictus.
mm.
And the reason cited is because of Meghan's over involvement.
Of
And
course.
the last time you saw them with Invictus, she was walking in front of and in
Of
this
the veterans, she was
outrageous
marching
outfit. She's
in
not even in a
shorts.
uniform. I wanted to ask you about that because it was so vulgar. It was just awful. I'm not going to comment on those. No, I'm not going to comment, but she needs to wear
Was she wearing?
trousers.
She seemed as though she was wearing flip flops in a pair of
Yeah,
shorts, and
yeah.
an occasion which was meant to be symbolic, very respectful. And how the hell could she march in front of them? She should
These
have
are
been.
men in uniform.
So again, classic Meghan Markle behavior, wanting to be at the center, okay, of every occasion. Um, I was so surprised she didn't actually turn up on the podium to to receive that award and pass it on to Prince Harry, because that is what
Well,
she's been doing
it looked
previously.
like I think they must have agreed that you know how you see at these big Hollywood awards, the husband or the wife they get up, oh they're amazed, oh my God, oh I got an award. They get up and they kiss their wife, and I think he was meant to do that
Yeah,
because she was holding onto his hand. She was holding on like a drowning woman, and he didn't do it, and there's a still caught and he's trying to get away and she's dragging him on the hand, but he doesn't look happy. His face is not happy with her performance. So
there is. Hmm.
she's just appalling. I mean, it's his whatever we might think, he's involved in the Invictus. He ought to have handed it over to one of the participating veterans, but to have that drag on him all the time, this is why he can't come back to the royal family. He will
Hmm.
never be able to come back while ever he is in relationship with her.
Hmm.
And he will always be in relationship with her, even if they're separated,
Hmm.
because he will be unwittingly leaking to her
Hmm. Hmm.
across
Hmm.
the pond. This is why he can't come back. And I don't know. I was very embarrassed for him. I'm going to be honest. I feel a bit concerned for him because once all this dies down, it's going to be an emptying out of himself. He'll probably get stoned and, as Lady C says, get into the talcum powder. Who knows? I think he's going to come down with a crash after this. I
He
think
made
so.
he made that bed, and he's going to lie in it for a very long time, because I think she's
Mm.
got him where she
He's
wants him to
trapped.
be. He's trapped, two children, he's literally trapped. And, of course, she got him across the pond to the United States. So she is having that good control of him there. If somebody have is to strip off your powers and your energies and all of that sort of thing, they are going to take you away from your powerful areas, and they are going to isolate you, from people who love you and who would have advised you, and take you away somewhere far away that you can't get access to that immediate help. This is what she already did to him. So I can't see him sort of running away from her clutches, if we like
No,
to call them.
he's not going to be able to get away. He's not. She, um, I listen to him from time to time, HG Tudor. He calls her the spider, and he really is caught in a spider's web.
Mhm.
Uh, and I really do believe, because I heard the royal butler, he was being interviewed, and he said he was interviewed before the awards, and he was asked his opinion. What do you think Harry will do? And he said, because he's fond of Harry.
Mm.
He remembers him as a boy, and he's actually fond of him. But I sensed a little bit like Arthur Edwards, the photographer, in some of the earlier interviews. He was heartbroken over the dramatic change in Harry, and I sensed a bit of that. Harold, his name is, the royal butler, and he said, "Oh no,
Used to be royal butler for King
that's right,
Charles. Mm.
exactly." And he's quite a sweet guy. I like
Yeah.
his channel, and
Yes.
he he said, "Oh,
It,
I think he'll. He see. I don't think he'll accept it. I think he will pass it on to the Invictus participants." And he said this, and this is the Harry that and I believe
so
he's right. He
yeah.
said
So
he's a
Harry.
sensitive soul. He's
Mm,
sensitive. And that's
mm,
why I think he's going to have a big crash after this because
mm.
of the 75,000 signature petition. I think he's going to
Yes.
come tumbling down.
He will sit back. They will sit back.
Mm.
They are watching these things pan out. They are
Yeah.
reading social media every day. So I know that these messages must have been sent across. About the 75,000 people who signed this petition, they must have
Mm.
listened to the conversations that were held with Pat Tillman's mother, Mary. So they know. And I think their PR is also trying to advise them, I think, and mostly Prince Harry, um, and not advising them in the right way, and as you know, Prince Harry's ego, and Meghan Markle, they wouldn't take advice to drop this
No.
award. So
Mm.
most definitely, they were still going to turn up and receive that award. The same way people used to call them out for the whole of aviation award, and they still turned up. They
Mm. Mm.
they don't get ashamed. They are not people who are actually capable of taking a second thought about things. They are more
Mm.
interested in what benefits them, as we have
It's
already.
embarrassing.
Now, we've seen a few comments here left behind
Mm.
by our
Mm.
wonderful viewers here. Where should we start from? Yeah.
Well, Pom asks, have you seen that Venus Williams remained seated when a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people got up to applaud when his award was announced? Did you see that, Francis? I
Yes,
did.
yes,
Yes.
yes, I did.
Mm,
I did. Absolutely well spotted. It would have looked better if those veterans stood beside him and not behind him. Exactly. Again, Prince Harry
mm,
seeing
mm.
himself as if he is the one the occasion was made for. This does not surprise us at all, does it?
No,
And we have
sad.
Ida there saying Harry should stay away from, such public events, to save themselves the embarrassment. You're very, very right there, Ida. Thank you so much for that. Um, we have Raquel, all his awards he accomplished. You mean all the awards they've bought? Exactly. Okay, his speech was cringy and entitled. We all saw that. Have you seen that Venus Williams? Exactly. People
Mm.
have have taken notice of all these cringy moments already. And I
Well,
tell you
one of
what,
the
the
it's
royal
time.
family itself, would have sent these well wishes to Prince Harry for, having received that award because it's a big award. But we haven't seen that. Of course, the royal family cannot, because as we know, not only these relationships are still so between the royals, and Meghan and Prince Harry across the pond. But the royal family also knows that most of all these events, the Harrys, Meghans are getting themselves involved in, are events that the royal family would not support because of the way they are run. Okay. And because of how they are not channeled through the values that the royal family would
Yeah.
support. So it doesn't surprise us at all when we don't see any well wishes coming from this way down to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm. Well, I actually, oh, I hate to say this, but I'm a bit worried about him. I'm a bit, I looked at him. Look, he played the victim very well. It's the only part he seems to know. But I don't think things are going to go well for him in his own world.
Mm,
I think this is a crisis for him. This moment in time is a crisis for him. I hope he pays attention to it because,
mm,
the universe has its way of speaking to us, and wanting to get our attention and helping us in order to help us make a course correction. But
mm,
there hasn't been this kind of opposition previously. There's been opposition, but not like this, and
mm.
it's not going to die down. I'm going to be honest. I thought, oh, it's going to go ahead. Oh, we'll talk about something else. No, everyone's still ramping up, and it doesn't look like it's going to die down within any time soon at all.
No, 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 and especially as they still haven't, Meghan and Harry
Mm,
have
mm.
still haven't realized the, the heartache that they caused to their family down here, the allegations. And again, this takes us back to all their projects, the Oprah interviews, Spare, all of those events that they've been involved in, the mocking of, Her Majesty the Queen in that courtesy. So people have since sort of erased them out of their, what should I call it? They've since parted ways with that Harry Meghan brand, and they've lost a lot of respect, and they
Yes.
loved Prince Harry, of course, at the beginning. And when Meghan Markle was married into the royal family, everybody seemed to be very excited. The turnout on of people on the streets for Meghan and Prince Harry's wedding was unseen. Before, so there were signs that people were, you know, welcoming of Meghan's bride, I mean Prince Harry's bride, and they saw a lot of uh, potential in these two becoming a force for good. And they let everyone down. They stepped down. They not only did that, they went on and started holding all these events, alligating against the royals here, seeming like they wanted to crush the whole monarchy down. That has angered people to date.
Yeah.
I don't think Meghan, Prince Harry have the blessings to go ahead and do anything else out there and do it successfully. So
Yeah,
they
they've
are
got
always
nothing
going to come
else.
up against these criticisms, and however good they might do or activities, however great they might be, they will never ever be recognized in the way they would have had they been still working royals. What are your thoughts? you know?
Well, I
Mm,
was looking at, there was an article and it listed a few of their awards. I'll put it here so I'm still facing the camera. Um, there was the Women in Vision Award,
mm,
and that should have gone to Gloria Steinem. You know,
mm,
uh, that was a recent one. The Robert F. Kennedy Ripple of Hope Award. That
mhm,
was for that was for standing up to racial injustice in the royal family. Oh, how like how ludicrous is this? And then they gave an acceptance speech to an empty room.
Mm-hmm.
There was the NAACP Image Award. That was the President's Award, and but they gave 125,000 to the NAACP. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the People's Choice Award. This will make you laugh. Well, I'm very good at making myself laugh, so if it doesn't make you laugh, I'll laugh. The People's Choice Award for the popular podcast of 2022. She won that for archetypes. Give me a break. No one is buying this tribe. No one is buying this. No one, they
Yeah.
are buying awards, but no one is buying this nonsensical PR. The Gracie Award for Top Entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
Women in Media. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't even turn up to receive that one.
She didn't,
Come
yeah.
on.
There are
Because you
awards
wanted
that.
Katie Couric and Brooke Shields were on the stage, and I think it was Katie Couric who asked her to, oh, tell us again, about when the speech you gave, the letter you wrote when you were 11 years old to the big pharma company. Oh my God. And then we're up to the Pat Tillman. They're just the highlights.
When you look around, all these headlines are not happy. They are telling a different story to what we
Mm,
saw in that room. And of course, all these people who were sat in that room, and celebrities, stars, and all of these bunch of people want to be where the hot news is. So they would of course turn up for those events, but nobody sensible that really knew uh, that Prince Harry had to drop this idea of picking up this award was in support of that event. CBS News, this is a very, very big news. So they are trending everywhere, and the story they are telling us is, he shouldn't have turned up for that, award. So they
yeah.
are still,
Yeah.
but it is this story trending everywhere. So they are still, adamant, Prince Harry should not have turned up for that, and others are saying Prince Harry should should pass it on immediately to to the rightful person who deserves this award, and he should dedicate this back to the Invictus Games. So Prince Harry will definitely read all these stories. He will see, I'm quite sure him and Meghan
Mm,
Markle
mm,
see these things when they go back and reflect on, what is going on. They are seeing what is being written out there.
mm,
And,
mm,
and uh, some of these stories are very, very hard to ignore. The 75,000 people signing that petition. That is one of the highest number of people that have ever signed a particular petition.
Well,
Okay.
they remember a petition did the rounds. Uh,
Hmm.
didn't didn't do the distance. So it picked up some traction, but it didn't go the distance in terms of the number it needed. And it was to petition Parliament to remove their titles. And
Yeah.
I don't know who was the one who raised that petition. Someone would have done that, but that didn't go anywhere near the number of this one. Didn't
Hmm.
do it. Did that? This one exceeded. It
This one
exceeded
exceeded.
expectations.
Everybody was surprised that he
Yeah.
actually turned up for this award, and of course, the timing of the award itself, being staged at the time Prince William was going to be stepping out and all of that stuff. I think this was on Prince Harry's mind more than the award itself. I think he wanted to sort of be the big headlines. And I think they've somehow succeeded, because when you are reading everywhere, it's Pat Tillman, Pat Tillman, Pat Tillman. But the great news is that it's of course very negative headlines, and the
Well,
prince,
it started late. It
you know,
started late because of Joe Biden's Joe Biden's memorable press conference when he introduced, it was supposed to be Zelensky, and he introduced him as President Putin. So
President Putin
uh,
here,
he
and
introduced him as President Putin. And so everyone thought, oh God, this is going to
he's
take
kicked off again.
the
Yeah, yeah.
shine off our awards. But no, if this is still if this is still cutting through all those headlines of Joe Biden,
Oh,
that's
God.
how
Yeah.
bad it is.
The other petition, which is starting to build momentum, is the royal titles. People signing the petition to strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal titles. Someone actually said that in the comments somewhere. Yeah, let's see who's that.
Yes, yes.
Are you able to see those comments on your
I
side?
can.
Mm.
I noticed because I played back last week and I thought I have to find another way to look at these comments because I
Yeah.
just put my nose down. I thought, people don't want to look up your nose or down your nose, Catherine.
Yeah.
There's Tegan Cousins. Rumor
Yes.
is that King Charles won't remove the titles as he's worried about Harry's mental health, and he thinks they need to be removed now as Harry still uses the HRH. I
Mm.
think that's right.
Yeah.
Apparently, there is a bill in the Parliament, and
Mhm.
it's held up, and it's being held up by the King. That's what I've read, and that seems to be the consistent reporting.
Mm.
And I believe it's twofold. I believe it's because he is worried about his mental health, and with good cause.
Mm.
But also, I just think that King Charles doesn't want, because he's a prince, he
Mm.
just doesn't feel he can do that with his son.
Mm.
That's my feeling. I
Mm.
feel he needs to do something. He needs
He
to remove
needs
them
to do
from the
something
line of succession. He needs to do something very public.
very
But
public too,
I
and
think
that,
Tegan
and
is correct.
Tegan is very correct here, and I think Tegan is seeing this issue through a lens of so many people.
Excuse me.
He, take some water. Take some water.
Sorry.
Take some
Well,
water.
that
Yeah,
tells you
Catherine.
how much it sticks in my craw that the king won't address the titles. But
Mm,
because of the invisible children,
mm,
they do need to address. It's a running sore. That line of succession is a running sore.
it is.
And do it publicly, not just these delicate little moves in the background,
Yes, and
It's just my opinion.
that way people will have some sort of reassurance that they are dealing with this Meghan and Harry's issues. See, they're dealing with it more seriously. Because
Mm.
the king has been criticized for being very soft with
Yeah.
how he's handled this Meghan and Prince Harry issue. When they went to Nigeria last time, and how they positioned themselves as if they were still working royals, that is when
Mm.
we actually thought this is it. They are going to be stripped of those titles, but still nothing really serious has taken place. We know that there is that bill in Parliament, so they seem to be debating on it. And I think what happened there is because there's a lot that has been happening with the change of government. There is that police security case, for
Mm.
Prince Harry in court. So there is a lot going on. And I think all of those events have somehow kept them busy. And from dealing with this issue of the royal titles. But I think where we are heading with with all these signatures on the petition and all of that sort of thing, we are going to see them slowly by slowly starting to be relieved of certain things. And I think the first real sign we are going to see is going to have to come through the royal family website. Somewhere, somehow, these two will be dropped off that website.
Well,
It
they
is
have.
going to be coming very soon, and I think that will be sending a message that something else will be coming, will be following soon. Okay, so
Well, they have. Excuse me, chewing. It's very bad manners, but I've got this. Excuse me. Um, that's a bit better, actually.
yeah,
Sorry about that, gang. There is. I heard one of the royal commentators saying the other day, and he even did a word count, that they've put their two profiles together instead of separately,
yeah,
and there are more words given to Harry
yeah.
than Meghan. Um, but they have given them a link to their
The
website.
website
Yeah,
sussex.com, where they say
yeah,
that
yeah.
if you want to read up more on the activities, this is the link. And when
Mm,
you look at Meghan and Harry's website, sussex.com, is a photocopy of the royal family website, the colors, the royal ensemble that they used, and but also the way the royal family website talked about Meghan and Harry as if they are representing the king abroad with their activities, which isn't true. And we are wondering who even wrote those things on the royal family website. Have they not seen that Meghan and Harry have since stopped representing the king? They are working on their own projects. So a lot of those things need to change. And if they are to strip them of their royal titles, they have to start from stripping them off the royal family website.
mm,
So then that will sort of ease the process because so many people visit that website, on
mm,
a daily basis to see what is going on. And it is very embarrassing to see that they still see Meghan and Harry on that website, despite all of the activities that they are involved in. So, but Tegan was right there in saying that the king is worried of Prince Harry's
mm,
mental health. So that is actually very right because he knows, Prince Harry has suffered mental health issues in the past, and he's very vulnerable when it comes to anything that is going to come across as stressful. And he wouldn't be like to be seen as a father who is not actually looking out for his sons in any way, shape, or form. So
mm.
he will want to be easy in whatever moves he's going to be taking, especially if it's to do
Well,
with his
yeah.
sons. But it is
Well,
only time
the
that
royal
will tell.
family, they move slowly. They
Mm,
move. They're very good with stealth. They do move slowly, and the public gets that. The
mm,
British public in particular, they really understand that, and he doesn't want to rock the boat. But as a parent, thinking like a parent, I'd be worried. I would be so worried because he's a drug addict.
mm, mm.
He, by his own admission in despair, he's a drug addict, and he spoke about doing cocaine at Courtney Cox's party. He spoke about it with Gabor Mate, that doctor, in that interview that he regretted. He went offline for about
Oh,
7 months
yes.
after that. I was so
Okay.
embarrassed for him. What a fraud! And
Yeah.
because you diagnosed him online, I saw
Online,
the
yeah.
yeah, I saw the interview, and I was so incensed because
but
that's
doctor
medical malpractice.
But that doctor came out and recently regretted doing that interview.
Yes,
Because he
yes.
said he was coerced into something he did not agree to.
But
Okay.
he did
So
agree to it. Otherwise, what are you saying? You're just a bigot. what? Are you a bigger victim than Harry? You didn't agree to it. They forced. No one saw you in chains and handcuffs. You know,
But
that
that
was
goes to
medical
show
malpractice
that goes to show how everybody that has a business of some sort with with those
with
two
these two. Yep.
will somewhere down the lines regret, okay, because there is so much negativity going on around those two, the controversies and all of that sort of thing. So
Well,
it
you
wasn't
can't get away
surprising.
from it.
You can't, yeah. But
But I think that talking about his mental health, though, because this is what's been on my mind quite a bit about Harry and about his drug use. We don't talk enough about his drug use because
mm,
people, a family, any family, and families who have a family member who's a drug addict know that they bring chaos, they create chaos, they live in chaos, the drama follows them everywhere, and some of them are very, very dangerous. They're
mm,
very dangerous drug addicts. Harry is proven to be very dangerous because he spent $1 million.
mm,
I don't know what that equates to in pounds to write his memoir, and I believe he is is in a very dangerous, precarious position. That's my view of Harry, and I
mm,
think that this has the ability to tip him over. That because it's just so bad.
mm,
Can
mm.
just when you think it can't get any worse for those two, this post Pat Tillman thing, it's so bad. It's
Everything that
so
is
bad.
going to be, they are going to be having their hands on will always meet these controversies. And so I think it's high time they started listening to people. It's high time they go back to the drawing board and write, uh, seek good guidance, good advice, because I see their brand is going to come down crashing. Invictus Games, of course, was um, established by the UK, royals, William, Catherine. I think that's why it is still having that momentum, and people still sympathize, and they are still supporting these games because they wounded soldiers and all of that sort of thing. So they are seeing it more in the eyes of the wounded soldiers and the ex-servicemen as opposed to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But they will ruin it if they stop putting themselves at at the center of these events and making them all about Harry and Meghan Markle. Like we've seen Meghan marching in front of the soldiers, Prince Harry receiving these awards, and not the wounded soldiers. People will soon, stop supporting these events if these two don't change their ways. Okay, but anything else that Meghan and Harry are going to do will always be met with a lot of criticism. Look at the podcast series for Spotify. Those ones I couldn't see them survive. Netflix itself is struggling to find more deals for Meghan and Harry because they didn't live up to the expectations of the first deal. They were supposed to release how many episodes? 8, 10 episodes.
Mm,
They ended up
mm.
releasing how many? Just 2. Okay.
Yeah,
And they seem to be having a lot of small projects going alongside and not really giving their attention to one project and seeing it through
that's a
before.
good point. Yeah,
And in so doing, they are not able to, you know, be productive to those
yeah.
expected levels. Okay.
Mm.
And why they are doing that, of course, is because they are living a very expensive life. Let's talk about that Montecito mansion, which is costing them millions of money to run a year. They don't need a massive property like that. Okay, they don't. Okay, with their family, which is not, it's a small family, so they could. Why do they need all of that? So the struggle is going to be real to raise those funds to sort of feed into that expensive life. And I think that's why we see them here, having a foot there, having a foot in here to try and gather as many projects as they can to sustain that life. But the real problem with that is they haven't been able to manage those projects properly because of taking on too much at the same time. Okay. Again, this is two classic examples of people who are very fast for money, fame, all of that sort of thing. Because they left the royal family where they thought we have the potential to make money out of the royal family. Why don't we find a reason and we leave and create our own dynasty or dynasty out there? They thought
Mm.
things were going to be easy. No. Yeah, clearly you have seen things haven't been easy. Okay. The Archwell Foundation, which you would think this would be off to a flying sort of mode, but it has since stalled. They struggle to even have donors. Last year, I think it was revealed they had just two, and they were struggling to get more on board. You know, they couldn't file those annual reports on time. We saw that, and of course, they were nearly declared delinquent. Okay, and you can imagine somebody running Actual Foundation, a former royal, with the team he has and everything. You'd imagine them filing all this paperwork on time, but they couldn't. So there is a real problem.
Oh, it's like they're like Calamity Jane, you know, they
Mm.
just go from one disaster to the next. I just had this thought though, when is the next Invictus Games? When and where is that? Do we know? Is it
Okay,
next year? How far away is it?
okay. So I think it should. I'll read up on that. But they
I
were
think it's in
they
Canada.
had said, is it Canada? And then they had talked of because the last one was in Germany, so it might be in
Okay.
Canada, yes. And then there
Yeah.
were talks of taking it to Africa, and I think their visits to Nigeria, one of the West African states, was to try and cultivate that ground for the the games to be held in the African continent. And I think this is going to Canada. Is it going to be winter time
It's a winter, they are
around
winter game.
November, early
Mm.
December time? Because they are going to be winter games. And I think
Because
that
what he
explains why he's wanting to hold them in a wintry, cold country,
okay.
Canada. Yeah.
Because he could still redeem himself. He could if it if the pressure doesn't let up, the negative pressure and the fallout from this latest award,
Hmm.
what they could do is present it at the Invictus Games to someone in on the board or someone in the organising committee or someone lower down the totem pole. He could do that. It's
Hmm.
not too late, you know, to
Hmm.
redeem himself. But
It's not. It's not. And
yeah.
it starts again. Redeeming himself will start with these two issuing an apology of some sort, coming back to their senses and say, "Hey, listen. For long,
Mm,
we have been the rebel royals, um, and we've realized how much we've caused issues with the royal family, and we beg to be excused. We were in a bad space, and Prince Harry, because we know he has always been led on a wrong path.
mm.
So until he comes up and says, listen, I'm sorry, I was led on this path, wrongfully, I was in bad space, he is going to struggle to move forward, even with organizations that were easily set up for him, like the Invictus
Yes.
Games.
Mm.
Tigan Cousins here says, is it Palm? Palm says, shame they don't report this properly on the media. Okay, still big hype. Invictus, which veterans spoke out. And these are very good thoughts, by the way. Tigan says, what does Tigan say there? Can you see it on your side,
I
Catherine?
can. Pardon me. Tegan. Is Tegan or Tegan?
Tigan,
Tegan.
yeah.
Yeah, the royal family set up Invictus, so it was set up properly, whereas they don't know how to set up a
A
what do you
brewery.
call it? Yeah, piss up in a brewery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
so
so winter in
she's quite
Canada,
right.
yes,
We'd
yes,
say a
they're
chook
gonna be held.
raffle.
Mm.
In Australia, we'd say you couldn't organise a chook raffle. That's what they have on a Friday night in the pub, a chook raffle. So they can't. They couldn't run a chook raffle to save their lives.
His Prince Harry is very lucky because
Mm,
can you imagine if this Invictus Games project wasn't set up for him? Where would he be? Because I don't think this Archwell Foundation is moving in any meaningful direction. Okay,
mm,
so it is really this Invictus Games project that is still elevating, the Duke of Sussex. And how great it would have been every year for him to put out a statement thanking the real founders of this project.
Oh, look, it's such a good point you make because it shows a lack of gratitude. And
Mm,
to me, that's actually their biggest problem is gratitude. Gratitude is everything. And it just demonstrates very poor character. It's a character flaw on both their parts, but particularly Harry, because Harry knows. Harry knows how it started. He knows what the royal system is. He was born into it, So
mm,
you're so right, Francis. If only he could be gracious
mm.
and thank thank the men in grey suits that
Yeah, yeah.
thank you to my family, the royal family that supported me in the early days and helped kick this off. So what?
Mm.
How hard is that? Come on,
Absolutely,
be
absolutely.
the big man for once. He just shrinks when he doesn't attend to these social graces.
He should be very grateful, and I think
Mm,
even now, even if he's not in good relationships or good books with the royals here, even if that communication is not there, is not very much there, the royal family is still supporting them in one way or the other behind the scenes. All of these projects they are going on and causing a lot of trouble out there, appearing in papers for all the bad reasons, and the royal family still not coming out to speak against them or do anything.
mm,
Is in
yeah,
itself telling of how they still want them to, succeed out there. Because
yeah,
can you imagine a situation where the king or Prince William came out and issued a statement publicly saying that, right, okay, that trip in Nigeria was uncalled for, we didn't support it, this was very wrong, and all of that sort of thing. That would be Meghan Prince Harry done. They would be done. Okay.
yeah, but they didn't.
Yeah, but the fact
See,
that they see this happening and the royal family is not
that's
saying that
grace.
in itself is right. They are sort of covering their backs by
Mm,
staying silent, somehow.
I
And
know.
again, they should be
Just
grateful for that, Meghan
it's
and Harry.
awful. I
Mm.
I just feel embarrassed. I just feel he's such a shrunken character, when you look at some of his early videos, he was happy, he was fun, everyone loved him. He was enjoying his life. He just looks like this miserable creature, trapped creature. And his family, as you're so right, and of course you would pick this up because you've got that empathic nature and a spirit of grace yourself, the
mm,
family is still covering his butt because they didn't come out and do that.
mm, mm. You know, there is a good question here from Tegan again. Um, okay, you can see that on your side because I think
You want me to?
it
I
cuts
didn't
off
want
on
to
my
offend
side.
anyone. I swear like a docker. Oh, you and me both, Tegan. I'm very restrained here. I'm being very polite.
Mm,
Um, did anyone listen to Avid Gardner who lives in Spain, and the media there are reporting about H&M divorcing?
mm,
Yeah, I haven't listened to her in a while. I do pick up every now and again. I'll see something on Twitter, and well, that's interesting. I wonder why Spain is reporting that.
There
Oh,
is,
I'll
there
check.
is.
Thanks for the heads up. I'll check that
Thank you
out.
for the hint. Yes, there
Yeah.
seems to be quite some reportings going on in Spain. And this is where
Mm.
rumors of who was named in Harry's pair about the senior royals who had said racist comments and all of that stuff. The rumors again started from there. And we saw later on that, that was indeed what Prince Harry had written in his pair. So I don't know what is in Spain that we
I
can't
was just
see this
wondering.
time.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they must
They
have a
seem to
mole in
get,
Spain.
yeah, they seem to get onto these stories before we do.
But
Okay.
is it a distraction? Is it a distraction from this other issue? Because there's always rumors of divorce swirling around. Um, is it put out there to just try and distract us from
The
this
attention,
this
yeah, yeah,
scandal?
yeah, scandals, yeah, yeah. So you could, because these are all social media spins and PR spins, you know,
Yeah.
so that they have a tendency of putting out stories to sort of counteract or draw attention away, from certain topics and certain stories and make us get lost in between and all of that sort of thing.
Mm,
So you
mm.
are very, very right. And
Because if they released who the racist was by accident, who Andrew Lowney, who is a literary agent, said it would never have happened, it was not an accident, it was done deliberately. And I believe that because he knows his way around the publishing industry. So putting two and two together, I'm asking the question. So they released who that was in Spain, and now Spain is reporting they're divorcing. So they've got sympathetic PR agent or something in Spain. I reckon it's a distraction.
yeah,
I do because
yeah,
it's not news, but I'm just yeah, just not yeah. I don't think it's serious at this stage. I think he's trying to get away from her. I think
mm,
he wants a separation. His body language shows that he wants to be out of her presence. And
mm,
she had
mm.
her hand on his knee at the awards where they were seated, and his body language was
Trying to
totally
sway
going in the
away.
opposite direction.
Yeah,
So
yes.
I think he wants to live separately from her.
But she won't let him go because she knows
Mm.
that that
Mm.
is, her soy sauce. That's if he goes,
Soy
then that's
sauce.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. I've not heard
Okay.
that before.
So Lady C said last year Harry had gone to divorce lawyer. Okay, so I mean, like we said earlier, it is going to be time that will tell. Okay, but
Yes, yes.
signs, big signs are there. We can see those signs, and also I think that feeds in well with Prince Harry's recent aggressiveness in trying to look for a property here in
Mm,
United
mm,
Kingdom,
mm.
wanting to come back closer to home and probably get himself restarted with life, kind of anticipating what might be coming up, in the near future and that sort of thing. And although we know that there are reports saying that if Donald Trump gets into power again, Prince Harry's visa issues might be revisited, and Donald could send Prince Harry back home. So you can see that left, right, east, center.
Yeah,
Prince
yeah.
Harry has got issues going on, and
Yeah, he's under a lot of pressure. And that's basically what the Spectator is saying. Here it is here. Has America had enough of Prince Harry? And that was on the 8th of July. So, I mean, the Americans love a comeback story, though,
hmm
they do. They could
hmm
make a comeback, but they're not disciplined. You see, the problem is they don't take advice, although he
mm
did take advice about this speech, even though I'd say it was 70% there,
mm
because his chip on the shoulder is his blind spot. But I just feel that if they could take advice, Americans love a comeback story. The stumbling block he has is he's a prince of the realm.
hmm
And Americans,
It's
a lot of Americans do not like royalty. They're fascinated by royalty, but they
mm,
don't want a royal in America getting involved in their
in their
elections,
businesses,
getting
yes.
involved in freedom of speech issues. He's on the
Mm.
Aspinins. That's his problem.
It is a
And
big problem,
yeah,
and you remember
and
last
she
year, was
is
it
known
last
for
year?
going around. People have to address her as the Duchess.
Yes, yes, and she
That's
and we they nearly got in trouble, when Prince Harry wanted to sort of, was that when he was talking about the, what was it, was it the gun laws or the civil rights? It is something he got
yeah,
himself
yeah.
involved in a few months back, and this
Yeah, it
really
was what
got
First or Second Amendment. Oh, don't get me started about the First or Second Amendment. I don't know much about it. Well, that much we believe. You don't know what
mm,
you're talking about. And he said, but I just think it's bonkers.
mm,
But I mean, people don't like a prince from another country. Now, it's hardly coming from one of the Eastern blocs. He's hardly a Russian prince. He's a prince of an ally. So, you know, the newly installed president will take advice. He'll ring the
mm.
king and see how they can work together on this. But the Americans don't like that. They do not. Why is a prince accepting awards in their country? Those these things belong to the Americans. Why is the prince over here telling us how to vote?
How to
Remember
vote,
when
how
they
to do,
came out?
yeah,
They,
yeah, absolutely,
stick
absolutely,
your
and
nose out of our business.
he needs advice, so he needs to sit back and, and exactly how I think this was a former Royal Navy officer here. He had an interview recently, and he was
Yes.
asked about this whole issue, Prince Harry accepting awards, and he turned around and said, "I think Prince Harry should have sat back on this one. I wouldn't advise him picking up that award because." It is more deserving of somebody else who has actually done something, and more so, it is an American award. So, if those awards were going to be here in Britain, okay, so you could say, but this lad, Pat Tillman, was an American, was he working with the ambulance, whatever he was working with, and he decided to go to Afghanistan after the 9/11. So this was a purely American award, and here is a British prince receiving this award. Mm, it doesn't
They
make any
don't.
sense.
They've got no self-awareness. Remember when they went to the cemetery on Remembrance Day and it was closed off for their photo opportunity?
Oh yeah,
And Americans did not like that.
yeah.
It's
I
got
remember
they've got no sense of place. They've got no sense of
of where
occasion. And
they are, the communities they are, they are playing about with, and Meghan Markle recently saying he wants to run for office, and calling all the Democrats and all these other big wigs in those political positions, trying to insert herself um, in, as wanting to run for office just because she had, don't forget this was a woman who was not known. Okay, she was just an actor in Suits.
That's
Okay,
right.
and clearly some people didn't know who she was until she married into the royal family. So after gaining that fame, she thought she would use that to run for political office in the United States. So you are very right. They have no sense of awareness. Okay, and part of that is because they can't take advice, because surely there should be people there who are advising them on their next moves, how to go about accomplishing certain deals, you know. But they would never take that advice. Meghan Markle wants to be an executive director for their Netflix series. When has she ever directed a movie? She doesn't even have a clue.
So
There she
embarrassing.
was. There she was wanting to be the executive director. Okay, and Prince Harry being the co-director, and where did that end? Into rubbish work. You can say that even David Beckham's documentary fared better, millions better than theirs did. Okay, because David Beckham, and the wife left this to be done by people who knew what they were doing. Meghan Prince Harry wanted to be in charge. They saw themselves as the directors. So they ran around in this cab, the yellow taxi in New York, taking selfies and videos and say, oh, they are chasing us. Or look, the paparazzis are chasing us. So they are filming themselves. And then they are having to use video images and incidences of paparazzis that were chasing Princess Diana as the Catherine Princess of Wales from many, many years ago, and wanting to put these images across as though it was Meghan and Harry being chased. So there was a lot of shoddy work, and this explains why these documentaries didn't go any further. Okay, but look at the time.
Yes, yes.
11
Um,
o'clock. Yeah.
it's probably past your bedtime.
Yeah.
So, my bedtime's soon, Linda. Yeah, a couple of them are saying they're heading off to bed.
Yes, yes. So it's about
But
that
Rhoda
time.
says something here. He would have gained more respect if they'd just been Harry and Meghan. That's so true. They would have been on everyone's invitation list. No
Yeah.
titles, which is
Yeah.
what they told us originally. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes.
If they'd just been ordinary citizens, they'd be on the top invitation lists. They'd be on yachts and private
E-
airplanes traveling all over the world.
Exactly. So Tigan cousins, thank you so much, Linda. Thank you, every single one of you. Pom, Len Covan, is it Coven? My respective yes. Thank you so much, every single one of you. These comments have been brilliant again
Yeah,
tonight. Every
thank you.
single one of you, we truly appreciate. We wish we could pull out your comments and put them on our screen.
Yes,
But
yeah, that's lovely.
yeah,
Not
unfortunately,
regularly.
we are doing this live off the YouTube main app, so it's difficult navigating around it. I think we will need to use some third-party apps like
I think
StreamYard,
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
which have more provisions, so we can always highlight these wonderful comments and throw them
I
up on
know.
screen.
I know.
And we have
We'll
a
get there.
party. Yeah.
Yeah.
Party is Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a good crowd
It
because I love
was, yeah.
look at them all chatting amongst themselves. They're fabulous.
Exactly, yeah.
Everyone loves Francis. Everyone's singing
Yeah.
Francis.
Yeah, but thank you so much, guys. It's wonderful seeing you all here with us.
Mm.
And we will be, of course, doing these lives, very often. Catherine, won't we?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, absolutely. Once a week at least.
Yes, once a week, every
At
Friday or
least. Yeah.
Saturday. And
Yeah.
we intend to run episodes like this on TikTok as well.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
Wednesday or Tuesdays we do TikToks. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're still building into it slowly, and so you will have to bear with us, our dear friends. But we always appreciate every single one of you who is over here on these live streams. Don't we, Catherine?
Yeah. Oh, look, I do.
Yeah.
Um, I look forward to it. I love Francis. I just think you're one of the most generous people I've met in a long time. I like that. You've got a lot of grace, and
Thank
yeah, and
you,
thank you
thank
for
you,
having me on
Catherine.
as your guest.
And you too always for putting that very very important time aside, especially this time of the day in Australia. It's still very morning, early morning
You
hours.
could see the lights
I can
starting
see
to
the
come
light
through.
starting to come
Yeah,
through. Yes,
yeah.
so getting you out of bed at this time of
Mm.
the day where you are is something I'm
Oh
really
no,
grateful for. Yes,
my pleasure
yes,
entirely. So
right.
I'm
So
a Royal IOTA, a
yes.
Royal IOTA, and I'll see you either on TikTok or
TikTok
over on my
or
YouTube.
on YouTube. Yes, please
Yeah,
subscribe to
yeah.
Catherine's channel. I'll
Thanks,
put it in the
guys.
description once we come off, and
Okay,
also we will catch up later on in the weekend, Catherine.
we
Okay,
will for
and
sure.
wish
I
us luck for the Euros on Sunday. So,
oh yes, yes.
and Prince William is traveling down to Berlin, Germany, to watch
Ah,
the games. So we would like him to, get some great moments there, see him singing and
we look
dancing
forward
in the
to it.
crowds. Yes, and
Yeah, he's
fingers
quite a rock
crossed.
star.
And fingers crossed, Catherine,
Mm.
Princess of Wales, also turns up for the men's singles or women's singles final at the
Yes.
Wimbledon this
Well, we'll
weekend.
look
I think
for it.
it's Sunday as well. So yes.
Okay, well,
Okay
sweet
then.
dreams, Francis.
And you
Cheers,
too.
sweetie darling.
And you too. Bye bye, everyone. Viewers. See you on
Bye.
the next one. Bye bye.